Hi, I'm John Williamson, Director of Operations for VentureCapital.org Idaho and Senior Vice President for Bonaccord Technology Partners. Welcome to this year's Boise Startup Week pitch competition.
I am the CEO and co-founder of Chillo.
My name is Olivia Esser. I am CFO and co-founder of MedTech X.
One of the founders of Karmic Outdoors.
I'm Phil Rowe. I'm the co-founder and chief operating officer of Terroir AI.
This is, in essence, it's a job interview. You have 10 minutes to make that impression, and we focus on trying to help you make that impression the right way, the memorable way, the way that results in the start of a conversation that can lead to funding.
And with this raise, we'll be delivering on-device processing.
Help us at Chillo revolutionize the shared housing market.
We are super passionate about this project, about our product.
In 2020, we had over 30 applications for the pitch competition, all from Idaho. The hardest part for us really was the narrowing to find our 10 semifinalists. Entrepreneurs solve problems that make the world a better place. They create jobs, they create wealth, not only for themselves, but for the entire community. And when you foster that, you can accelerate not only a company, but an entire economy. And this is just a chance where you get a glimpse to see the companies that are going to start, they're going to find money, and they're going to change the world.
5 growing seasons ago, we started collecting data to do development on, and all of that being unfunded or underfunded. It is farming, so we're an ag tech company, but it is just as hard as agriculture. We've had to be very resilient to still be in business and to make it this far. I'm Phil Rowe, co-founder of Terroir AI, and this is our pitch for Boise Startup Week pitch competition. I'm Phil Rowe. I'm the co-founder and chief operating officer of Terroir AI. And today I'm going to talk about farming, the commercial food and beverage producing industry, and how our solution gives them an edge against Mother Nature. Farming is gambling. There's only one time during the year that a farmer knows how much crop and revenue they have, and it's right after they harvest. But that's only the beginning of the problem. Commercial food and beverage producers take on a much larger gamble when they decide to contract from those farmers. Not knowing how much crop you have coming in on a contract causes increased waste, mismanaged expenses, and lost revenue. One commercial winery that we're scaling up with said they spend $2.5 million, mostly in labor, to mitigate this problem. And they still end up with a $20 million problem every single year. Now, to mitigate this, they send labor out into their fields to manually hand count grape clusters across thousands of acres just to get a yield estimate. Counting grape clusters is tedious, often 30% inaccurate, and does not scale very well. Imagine all the labor required to count all these vines. Our solution is our precision yield system. It's an imaging system you mount on existing farm equipment like a tractor, ATV, or autonomous platform. The system scans your field, counting grape clusters, providing users with a yield density map, as well as how much crop they have coming in on those contracts. Now notice how fast he's going. Imagine trying to hand count grape clusters and keeping up with him. It's impossible. It may take a few hours to hand count 1 acre, and our solution can do it in 11 minutes. That speed means that an entire medium-sized vineyard can be scanned in 1 day. And when the weather shifts, the field can quickly be rescanned, showing you the impacts of those weather shifts, assuring that you are making the correct decisions with your crop contracts. Now, Nathan Strong's our CEO. Nathan is a computer vision and predictive model expert. He's designed, developed, and commercialized new technologies at his previous startup, Strong Fuels. Myself, Chief Operating Officer, I've led sales and operations planning in a variety of industries, and I've taken hundreds of products to market. Most of my background is in high-tech manufacturing. John Phillips, our Chief Marketing Officer. Stephen Shepard's our Chief Technology Officer. Stephen is a neuro and vision science expert. His biology-inspired computer vision work is the backbone to why our algorithms function so quickly. Aaron Lewis, our Chief Product Officer. Aaron is an environmental engineer, a geochemist, and is leading our hardware-software integration. If you're starting a computer vision company, this is the A-team. We have partnered with UC Davis School of Viticulture and Enology, that's grape growing and winemaking. They are the best, and Dr. Khan Kurterall is our advisor. We just renewed our relationship with him, and he will be publishing a paper this off-season on the work that we've done with him during our relationship. We are part of Autodesk's exclusive residency program at Pier 9 in San Francisco. We have a workspace and access to their industrial equipment where we design, make, and test our hardware. This workspace is slowly reopening post-COVID shutdown. Domain Shandon, Argentina. This is our Southern Hemisphere research partner. 2 hemispheres means 2 growing seasons, allowing us to do research and development year-round when the winter months occur up here. We have no financial ties or obligations to any of our strategic partners, and we own all our technology. Now, our market is 18.5 million acres globally. That's just vineyards. That total addressable market is 1.9 billion, and when we move into other crops, we'll expand that addressable market by 14.3 billion. Now, we are the only direct replacement to manually hand-counting grape clusters. We cost less, we're faster, and we can refresh the information a lot faster than hand-counting. Other companies in this space are companies like Bountiful. They use satellite imaging and weather information to provide directional forecasts for farmers. Farmers that subscribe to these services are still manually hand-counting grape clusters to come up with their yield estimates. Monarch Tractor just released a semi-autonomous tractor that they said will have some form of yield monitoring equipment in the near future. They are an equipment and robotics company. We are a computer vision company. We will stay ahead of them. The last group of competitors are companies like VineView that use aerial imaging from planes and drones to give you a quick snapshot of your field. This is a very quick and good way to get information about vegetation health for your field. The problem with aerial imaging is that you cannot see below a leafy canopy from the sky. As you can see, the fruiting zone sits below that leafy canopy on that lower image. This is a very common problem with permanent crops like avocados, apples, oranges, and other citrus fruits. We are the perfect solution. Our go-to-market strategy is to partner with agriculture research universities that provide us quick, credible access to vineyard management service companies and commercial wineries. Both of these groups are early adopters of technology and have a lot of land that we can scale with. On the progress side, we are currently offering our yield monitoring services and collecting data for our pest and disease features that will roll out in the near future. Ultimately, our system will provide you enough data to optimize your crop yield based on what it sees in your system, in your field. On customer traction, despite all the uncertainty around COVID-19 and record-breaking wildfires in wine country this year, we managed to do some paid work as well as a demo for a larger winery. And next year, we'll be moving into larger beta programs and scaling from there. We are raising $750,000, and with this raise, we'll be delivering on-device processing. That means that all the computing power and processing will be done in our device, in field, instead of in the cloud. We'll also be delivering $700,000 in sales and establishing strong brand recognition in the industry. Now remember, farming is gambling, but we stack the deck. Thank you.
You talk about competitors that have a whole lot of different technologies, from satellite imagery to weather patterns to et cetera, et cetera. And what's the cost that you have to sink into to being able to run your analysis through a big vineyard or multiple vineyards? The hardware cost, so to speak.
What we've done this year is we're running a service model. And what we actually learned with our first year commercializing is that the larger commercial wineries actually prefer a service model over time. They'd prefer more of a lease model where we can remotely troubleshoot and then swap out different modules within the hardware. So what it works out to at scale with these larger guys is about $49 an acre. and that includes the lease price. We're still maintaining a high 70s margin on that. So a typical beta program for us is 2,000 acres, and that works out to $49 an acre, and we'll take an 80% margin on that. Now this year, we were reluctant to just put the hardware in their hands and let them go. Our advisors at Autodesk really warned us against, do not take your hands off of this. You need to see a little bit more about how they interact with the hardware. So, this year we put $49 of cost per acre into servicing. So we broke even this year on operating to gain some additional insights. But going forward, it looks like we'll be in the high 70s for gross margin.
I was curious when I watched the presentation, kind of what the accuracy was versus using strictly the AI system versus the month-long hand counting, if you had any data about how accurate your technology was.
Yeah, we've got some preliminary data. I'll give you the feedback from the group that we worked with this year. UC Davis, so Khan at UC Davis he's going to publish a paper on our work this off season, and so I don't want to speak too soon with what he's going to publish and what his findings are. So I can give you what our customers said. We did 19 blocks for them, and there were 2 of them that they said, this is a machine learning system. These 2 blocks next year, we probably won't rely on your system. The rest of them were great and performed better than what we could do by hand. Now, the benefit that they also expressed to us is they'll go out and do this hand counting, but every vineyard is different. Some guys will just do it early season, and then they kind of just, let it ride, and they kind of eyeball it. Other guys will go back out and recount. Our system being able to go out and rescan gives them more confidence in what they're doing with their field practices and all that. And so basically 17 of the 19 blocks that we did, they said, we think we're good to go for next year to completely rely on it.
I'm a huge advocate for resilience and just always focusing on the target market, because they'll tell you what they need. We feel so blessed to be a part of this community as a whole, especially the mentorship, Boise Startup Week. It's going to forever change the trajectory of how we help people, and that's why we do what we do. Our team is super excited to be here and change lives and revolutionize the shared housing market. And that is our goal, and we won't stop until we do it. I'm Alexis Rankin, and this is our pitch for the Boise Startup Week pitch competition. My name is Alexis Rankin. I am the CEO and co-founder of Chillo, the virtually safe roommate review platform. At Chillo, we have built a mobile application that allows roommates to not only find and connect with one another, but also review, rank, and endorse each other based on past living experiences, while also responding to the current pandemic by integrating new technological advancements such as 3D virtual tours and in-app video conferencing calls. Meet Jackie. Jackie is a 21-year-old college transferring from Midtown, Ohio to beautiful sunny San Diego State University. Jackie has traveled across country and upon arrival was responsible for all of her initial moving costs. Jackie met Sarah on Craigslist, as many 18 to 33-year-olds do today. And the first 3 months went fantastic until around month 4, when Jackie started noticing that Sarah was becoming more and more unreliable. That's when Jackie decided she needed a break and decided to take off on a relaxing vacation, leaving her portion of the rent money with Sarah. After 5 long, relaxing days, as Jackie returned home and approached her apartment door, she noticed a big red eviction notice hanging there. As Jackie fell to her knees in disbelief and opened the door, she realized that not only had Sarah taken off with her portion of the rent money and gone to Las Vegas, Nevada, getting them evicted, she had also stolen some of her belongings in the process. To her dismay, she immediately had to turn around, pay to terminate her current lease, and pay for all of the initial move-in expenses of an entirely new location. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Jackie, and this situation has legitimately happened to me. Our beachhead market at Chillo is college students, with over 54 million college students in the United States, of which 98% use social media today. Of that 98%, 34% use social media when finding their current roommate, leaving us with a targeted beachhead market of just over 18 million college students in the United States who currently live with a roommate and found the roommate while using a form of social media. However, our overall market at Chillo is much, much larger, with over 133 million renters in the United States between the ages of 18 to 33 who currently live with a roommate today. The price for homeownership has increased over 55.9% over the last decade, forcing individuals to live together longer than ever before. The price for terminating a lease is at an all-time high, and people are agreeing to live with one another completely oblivious to what the experience will entail. There is no safe, easy, or affordable solution that currently exists today when finding a credible roommate. So here we are, March of 2020. And at Chillo, we were getting ready to launch on the Apple and Google Play Store. And the current pandemic of COVID-19 strikes. As the CEO, I decided to pause and to go back to our drawing board and our roots and take a look at the target market and see what is it do they really need today. And what we found was incredible. According to Pew Research data, 1 in 5 young adults in our target market between the ages of 18 to 33 were moving at unprecedented rates, more than ever before in history. So what we realized was, so people are still moving, and what they needed and craved most was to be able to do it safely. So what we realized was the pandemic opened up a massive opportunity for Chillo, and we responded. Our competitive advantage is simple. We have integrated technological advancements with virtual safety, bringing virtual safe technologies to the roommate sector for the first time. By incorporating 3D virtual tours, allowing an individual to actually capture what their home or bedroom that they're renting looks like in a 3D virtual manner, allowing an individual to decide before they ever step foot in somebody else's home and spread germs, if they even want to live there. While also integrating in-app video conferencing calls to allow individuals to still connect and see if they even want to live together while still maintaining 6 feet of social distancing. We're also the first to bring peer reviews to the roommate sector for the very first time. I want to challenge you for a second. Why is it that you can review a $6 phone case off of Amazon or your college professor or a restaurant, for instance, but there's nowhere that currently allows you to review or endorse a former roommate, someone who you're going to share your home with? That's where we come in. We've also integrated technological advancements such as Chillo Pay, allowing to connect landlord and tenant to pay, whether it be utilities or on an ongoing monthly basis through Chillo Pay. And of course, always building our app with user-friendliness as a main priority. At Chillo, we have built a mobile application that allows individuals to stay safe and healthy using our virtual safe technology. Review, rank, and endorse one another based on past living experiences, and giving them the ability to fill a bedroom with a credible tenant and collect rent virtually, connecting our target audience nationally with the very intent of going global as well. So let's take a look at our top 4 competitors: Craigslist, Roomster, Roomie, and PadMapper, of which Craigslist still happens to be our largest competitor in this sphere by a landslide, with over 300,000 posts on the housing section alone every single day. However, for many of us who have used Craigslist know it can be completely unreliable. In fact, of those 300,000 posts, over 20% of them are considered fraudulent, leaving Craigslist with just a simple messaging archaic platform. Would you want your son or daughter to find their next roommate on Craigslist? I think not. Well, as you can see, PadMapper, Roomie, and Roomster have taken it a couple steps farther. And then that's where Chillo comes in. We've integrated 3 technological feature functionalities as virtual safety, ACH payments, and of course, reviews and endorsements. We are relaunching Chillo in our 2 target markets come January of 2021 in the San Francisco Bay Area and Boise, Idaho. Now, don't just take our word for how great and necessary this product really is. My partner and I went around and interviewed well over 500 individuals in our target market who currently live with roommates, and the feedback was phenomenal. Over 98% said not only would they use the platform, but that they would pay for it. And let me tell you, almost every single one of them had a horror story with a roommate off of Craigslist. Meet my team. My name is Alexis Rankin. I am the CEO and co-founder at Chillo. As the current executive vice president at Keller Williams Realty Boise, part of the largest real estate company in the world, I have a unique understanding of the real estate market and needs in all 50 states. My partner and co-founder, Stephen Rankin, has 13 consecutive successful years in sales, and our in-house Chief Technical Officer, Kenneth Black, was solely responsible for recently building BP's multi-million-dollar application. And our head of marketing, Madeline Kilroy, is responsible for all things social media, search engine optimization, and targeting our market. So from freemium to premium, let's talk revenue. We have 4 main feature functionalities that bring in revenue on a recurring basis. Our business model is simple. We offer a matching service that an individual can pay $4.99 to have over 20 different instant roommate potential matches sent to them based on lifestyle, location, and preferences. We also give individuals the ability to pay to boost one's posts to the top of search criteria. Of course, the opportunity to monetize through advertising space. And then there's Chillo Pay, the continuous revenue platform that allows landlord and tenant to connect. Chillo Pay offers the ability, again, for landlord and tenant to connect and pay, whether it's an ongoing monthly rent through automatic payments or being able to send utilities on a monthly basis as well, allowing Chillo to earn $10 per month per user on a continuous basis. So let's take a look at our 5-year financial projections. Q4 of 2020 has been a springboard into our aggressive go-to-market launch in January of 2021. Our go-to-market strategies include strategic partnerships as well as market penetration strategies that will accelerate early user adopters. Our users will have download growth in the triple digits year over year, while factoring in a 5 to 7% conversion as well as attrition. This will result in Chillo breaking even at the end of year 2021, going from roughly 1 million users on the platform to over 5 million by the end of 2024, all while factoring in the costs of growth to scale. So you're probably thinking that sounds great. Tell me how you get there. Our go-to-market strategies are well thought out and effective. Strategic partnerships, as I previously mentioned, mainly with colleges. We are currently in conversation with BSU, as well as several Northern California universities, to be the sole offering to off-campus safe roommate solutions, while also targeting users through the major housing sites, and of course, social media marketing and search engine optimization. We are giving you the opportunity to invest in our Series A round. We're asking $2 million. When we win Boise Startup Week this year, it will forever change the trajectory of Chillo. We're going to be able to use that money to really hone in on what our target audience and market really needs today, which is to feel safe when connecting with a potential roommate. We will use the money to finalize the integration of our virtual safe technologies, such as 3D virtual tours and video conferencing calls, and being able to take what's left to actually hire additional beta testers to make sure that those technological advances are working seamlessly prior to launch of January 2021. When we earn the $2 million in our Series A, we plan to spend the money accordingly. 50% towards targeted marketing on the 3 platforms that our target audience uses most: Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. 20% towards search engine optimization, 10% towards operations, 15% towards maintenance of development, and 5% towards legal fees. Help us at Chillo revolutionize the shared housing market and make it a safe place for the very first time. Thank you.
Do you plan or anticipate doing credit checks? A number of my friends that do property management, that's part of their strategy is credit checks to make sure that folks can actually pay their bills.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So actually, we've looked into that, and it's very, very tricky for each state. So because of certain laws around somebody's credit, interestingly enough, it's more difficult to run somebody's credit versus their background, for whatever reason. And so what we've looked into, and we've talked to several companies, that also is coming in either phase 2 or 3. And the reason why is what we're actually implementing is a Chillo credit check. And what we're doing with that is, because we offer Chillo Pay within the platform, we're creating a badge, if you will. So when somebody does a background or ID check, it actually shows there that they're verified in whichever fashion that they've chosen, whether that be background, ID, etc. So when individuals are paying through Chillo Pay, we actually keep track of up to 7 years worth of documentation on time paid, whether it's utilities or rent. So what they do is they actually can earn an additional badge for paying on time. So we've actually integrated kind of our own, because of the legality around and the complexity around traditional credit checks. We're actually giving that a try for the first year to 2 years, seeing how that works out. And then obviously going from there as far as integration of and taking on that kind of a beast with integrating traditional credit checks.
Can you spend a little bit of time talking about your technology team, and particularly around, background in the payment space? And maybe that's more of a tech stack question. How do you plan on approaching that? Is it internal? Would you link in some partners? And then depending on the response, if it's linking in partners, great. And if it's internal, what's the background on the team doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. So our C2O is integrated. Are you familiar with, and forgive me if I'm saying this incorrectly, Adyen? Yeah, so we've integrated a third-party technology. Adyen actually is used by Uber. So we've used some pretty substantial technology to integrate that payment opportunity. So whenever anybody runs a credit card or they connect ACH-wise as far as auto payments through accounting and routing, it's all done through a third party called Adyen, and that's already integrated into the system.
Is this a problem that's unique to San Francisco because housing's so constrained and everyone's renting a room? Where is this really a problem? Is this a problem in Boise, Idaho? Are there a lot of people sharing rooms? I just don't. Help me understand that a little bit more.
Yeah, not as many in Boise, Idaho. And obviously, I'm sure you believe that. My partner and I are from the Silicon Valley originally. We moved here 3 years ago to start this business. Obviously, the capital that was going out just to survive in California was not feasible. So we moved here to start this business. And though we love it, it's given us a different perspective. So to answer your question directly, who is this going to be? Who's benefiting to this? Metropolitan areas, young professionals in metropolitan areas, and colleges. And that is some of our strategic partnerships, because though Boise has less renters, the college brings in a ton of individuals who are sharing, and a ton of individuals who are still relying on archaic Craigslist. I mean, when my partner and I went around and talked to, I think it was around 200 people here in Boise, boots on the ground, just literally going up to people and asking them 5 questions based on their age, demographic, et cetera, living with a rent or a roommate or not. It was a resounding same responses from people in Boise versus people in San Francisco, where we came from, and what we realized was, wow, this is a problem everywhere. And then we took to a national, we paid to have a national survey done as well to take it even a third step farther. And what we realized was, no matter if you're in a little town in Ohio or if you're in, New York City, this is an issue, majorly. Trusting roommates, and people are still relying on Craigslist at unprecedented rates.
You were born to be in front of the camera. That was a great pitch that you put together.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I didn't practice it at all.
It was good.
Our product has the potential to save hospitals over $400 million each year in the United States. In the wake of COVID-19, our team has shown resiliency by managing to hit huge milestones, like filing a provisional patent, earning $16,000 in seed money, and forming an LLC, all while being in remote locations across the Northwest. But more importantly, the resilience of healthcare workers during these times has shown us why now, more than ever, it's important for our product to be brought to market. We're excited to be here. We've already learned so much, and we look forward to a great startup week. Hi everyone, my name is Olivia Esser. I am CFO and co-founder of MedTech X, And today I'm talking about our product, Catheter X, which is an innovative catheter designed to reduce infection in patients and save healthcare facilities money. So let's talk about the problem that we are addressing. A medical doctor on our team was astounded to find out that 3 out of 4 patients who need a catheter develop a catheter-associated urinary tract infection, or a CAUTI. And this affects 380,000 people in the United States alone in 1 year. And so 13,000 of these are fatal. And we knew that there had to be some kind of solution for this, and we found that there wasn't. The current solution that nurses use is when an infection occurs, they pull the catheter out, treat the infection, and put the same type of catheter right back in. And this is a practice that's been done for the last 80 years, and no innovation has really entered into the market. And this is a cost of over $400 million for healthcare facilities in the United States each year. So we set out to create our own solution, and that's when Catheter X was born. So essentially, we added a third tube into an existing Foley catheter, and this allows for saline to be injected into the catheter and spiral through the urethral tract, flushing out bacteria and preventing an infection from even occurring in the first place. And so it's a preventative measure, and by inserting one of our catheters and doing this motion of flushing saline, there's no need to constantly replace catheters. One of our catheters can replace the catheter that is typically replaced every 10 to 12 days in a patient. And so obviously this saves healthcare facilities a lot of money because they're not spending the money out of pocket to constantly treat infection and replace catheters. So this concept was developed in 2018. In 2019, a prototype was created, and this was all done by our University of Idaho engineering student team. And they took it upon themselves to create this product and then marketed it to the business department and said, hey, we know this is a really good idea and we want to be able to take this to market. How do we start doing that? And so that's where I came in and a few other of my colleagues, and we took this to competitions, to angel investors, and ended up earning $16,000 in seed money in just a couple short months this year. We knew it was a good idea. We talked to medical doctors, to nurses, to investors, and it seemed like almost everybody knew somebody who had a CAUTI and who had an infection in a catheter that went wrong. And so we decided at that point this was a really great product. It's a product that needs to be protected and formed into something bigger than just an idea and a student project. So in June, we filed a provisional patent for our design, and we formed an LLC. And that's where we're at today. So looking forward, we're calling this phase 2, and this is what we are seeking funding for today. So phase 2 would cover 3 main goals of ours. The first is to finish up that patent process and to file claims. And these claims would move to our second point, which would be to finish up engineering and designing of our product. And really, this is to make it manufacturable, to just get all of the specifics of it nailed down. And we have a few other design ideas that we have students working on right now. And the third is to start efficacy testing. So we know before we get into clinical trials and FDA approval in the future that we need to have some testing done beforehand. And to another point, our team is largely made up of business professionals, engineers. We have medical doctors and the director of the WWAMI program on our team. But we're also really looking to add more medical professionals onto our team, medical students onto our team. And so this funding would really allow us to finish that design phase and search for those team members that we know are critical in moving our product forward. And so with this funding, we'll be able to finish that initial design phase and move towards clinical testing and trials and eventually selling our IP. So what is our strategy? We recognize that there are a few big players in the catheter manufacturing business, and we aren't trying to be in that business. We know that we wouldn't want to go up against them and manufacture our own catheters. And so our strategy is to get our product all the way through FDA approval and then sell or license our IP after asset valuation. So until then, our expenses are, like I just mentioned, our efficacy testing, finishing, designing, and then further on down the road, our clinical trials and our 510K FDA approval. And once all of that is completed, we'd be able to look at that asset valuation and figure out the best route for us. The three potential customers that we would be looking at would be Teleflex and CR Bard, which are in the United States, and then B. Braun is outside of the United States. And these are the really big players in catheter manufacturing right now. We've also talked to a lot of local manufacturers, and the advantage that we have by doing that now is that we can talk to them, see what the manufacturing process is like, and what they're looking for in their product and in their manufacturability. And we're able to go in while we're still in that design phase and make it so that we're using the same material, the same manufacturing style, so that when we do go to those customers and sell or license our IP, it's already been flushed out and it's to that point where it's ready to go to market. So should we license our IP? This is what we would be looking at for royalty payments. This is average royalty payments taken for our type of device. And kind of following that timeline I had before, ideally we would like to get it to market sooner, but we recognize it's a long process to get through FDA approval. So if we were to start, or if our customers to start selling in 2028, these are the projections that we would give for the next 5 years, obviously increasing market share each year. So who would be the end user of our product? The largest consumer of catheters is North America, and within North America, hospitals are the biggest users of catheters. But if you think about hospitals and how many units are in hospitals, a lot of them use catheters. So ICU units, long-term care facilities, surgery centers, and nursing homes and geriatric facilities are all big users of catheters. And so, at any point during any day, 5 million catheters are being used. And right now, those are being replaced every 10 to 12 days. So the biggest point I want to make is that this isn't a niche market. This isn't a product for a specific group of people. These catheters can be used short-term, long-term, for any age of people. We have a lot of ideas of manufacturing and being able to make different sizes that are adaptable towards different age groups. So our product really is adaptable through all kinds of segments of people and not just a specific niche market, which I think is really important when we get to that point where we are pitching to manufacturers and customers. So who are our competitors right now? Right now, the silver-coated catheter is what's kind of comparable to ours in the market, but the issue is that these aren't cost affordable. And in fact, there's about 6 times the cost of what a regular Foley catheter or what our catheter would cost. So there's really no catheter in the market right now that offers that low price point, the ability to use it long-term, and the ability to prevent infection, which are the 3 things that are important to our catheter that Catheter X offers. And I want to touch on quickly the opportunity of our business. So I mentioned before that our company is MedTech X, and we did this because we have a lot of other ideas and we want this business to have longevity and not just be a quick sale of an IP. We have a lot of other ideas and we have a huge network, and that strategic alliance with the University of Idaho really allows us great talent and great people on our team to be able to have other ideas. So this funding goes straight towards the catheter project that we're working on, but later down the line, we really are in the business of helping people and we want to continue doing that through other products as well. So I'll end with our ask of $50,000 of seed money, and this would be going towards patent fees, engineering fees, and efficacy testing. We are super passionate about this project, about our product. Our team is such a talented team and really committed to moving this forward. And so we really look forward to talking with you further about this, to answering any questions you might have. And we really hope that you see the value in our product that we do. And thank you for your time.
Okay. Next person we're bringing in is Tiber Dotson. Tiber's on the team with Olivia and Catheter X.
So I noticed it was a third tube added to an existing catheter. So are you retrofitting catheters that are already out there, or is it a full new production of a new design?
It'll be a full new production of a new design, but we're hoping that in our slide it says from 2022 to 2027, the full FDA approval. We're hoping that we can cut some time out because there's already the materials to build it out there. It's already in use. We just have to add that third lumen. So we're hoping that can cut our manufacturing time.
You're facing down a ton of costs, and there's some really clear-cut ways to approach it. So, why spend your time with a competition that can ultimately yield you 20 grand and drop of water in the grand scheme of things for you guys?
For sure.
So use of funds. Say you win this thing, what does that go to?
That would go to our, like I said before, it's the efficacy testing, phase 2, trying to get more add-on devices to help it become easier for nurses to use. I believe that we have a great team. We're really confident. And just a little bit of background, we did compete in the UW Hallman competition, and that was our first competition going against 51 medical device companies that were pitching. So it was a straight medical device pitch competition, and we came out second place. And I believe that was kind of an eye-opener that, wow, this can actually compete in these competitions. But not only that, taking it a step farther, we can actually create a business out of this. And we had a lot of feedback from, obviously those were all medical professionals and entrepreneurs voting in that competition too. So we had a lot of feedback from them, and we felt confident moving forward. We're really trying to get this last little bit of capital just so we can use it for, like I said, the phase 2 of engineering and backing our patents before we go approach investors.
Cool. So maybe the more important thing you get out of it is some industry connections, potential investors, and feedback, advice on the pitch, that kind of stuff.
Definitely. Yep.
Cool.
Of course.
Tomorrow's another day to do something great, and I have the ability to do that. So that's sort of how I stay resilient. I just try to stay optimistic and stay focused. Boise Startup Week, as well as the Boise State Venture College, have helped us a great deal try to refine our pitch to make it more specific and get rid of any information that I might not need in my pitch. And they've also given us just strategic business advice, bouncing ideas off of these people. We understand that we're new to starting a business, and these relationships have been really great for us to just ask questions of people who have done it and been there. So it's been really great. Hi, my name is Robert Gillingham. I'm one of the founders of Karmic Outdoors. We're an outdoor gear recovery system. We get lost gear back. So the problem that we're trying to solve is that outdoor men and women lose expensive gear, and there's no good way of getting it back to the owner. I was fly fishing one of our local rivers, and I found a fly rod. I got back home, and I wanted to get it back to the owner, so I posted on social media, I posted on Craigslist, and I posted on online chat forums. In several weeks, I got 4 or 5 phone calls of people who have lost fly rod. Unfortunately, those phone calls that I got were not of the fly rod I had in my hand. So I thought to myself, well, that's unfortunate. I really want to get it back to this guy, but I can't. So I thought, what have I lost and what have I found? And I've lost and found a lot of things throughout my outdoor career. And Aaron and I thought, well, there's got to be a solution to this problem. So we looked and we couldn't find one. And then we thought, well, how big of a problem is this? There's about 145 million outdoor recreation users annually. 86% of them have lost something of value in the outdoors, and 76% of them have found an item of somebody else's. So if you do the math, you see that only about 10% of outdoor gear is lost. The other percentage, high percent of the time, somebody finds gear and wants to get it back to the owner, but can't. That's what we're here to solve. Our product are extremely durable decals that people put on their favorite outdoor gear that have unique ID numbers and QR codes associated with them, stored in our database. So customers purchase decals, they register the decal, they affix it to whatever item they want, and they enter the make, model, serial, color, whatever the information they want to put on there. And this ensures that their outdoor gear is identifiable and returnable. So the way it works is it's really simple. If you look at the cup on the left, that cup could be anything. It could be a stand-up paddleboard. It could be your favorite pitching wedge. It could be disc golf. It could be whatever you want it to be, whatever your favorite outdoor activity is. But if you have those things, if you enjoy the outdoors and you lose something, chances are you're never going to get it back, unless you have a decal like ours on the right. And our decals are very simple for the finder to get the gear back to you. All they do is bring up their smartphone, open up the camera feature, hover over the QR code, click on the link, enter their contact information, and that's sent immediately to the registered owner. There's no app needed or anything. Very simple process for the finder to get the gear back to the registered owner. So how do we make money with this? We have 4 sources of revenue. The first 2 are going to be business to consumer. The second 2 are going to be business to business. We have a really high profit margin on the direct-to-consumer sale of our decals. And then we have reoccurring revenue through annual membership from keeping your account active. And we have a different number of tiers for each individual to pick which tier fits their style the best. Licensing is something that we're working on also. We've been working with a few major outdoor brands to have our lost and found decals on their product at the point of manufacturing. So if a consumer purchases a decal through us, they can put on anything they want. But if they purchase a paddle or an oar through Sawyer, it's going to come with Karmic lost and found protection. And there's a number of reasons why they'd want to do that. One of them is they could upsell for this feature. They could charge more for a premium item that already has that, or it's just something to help them stand out in a crowded marketplace. And finally, our fourth source of revenue is going to be a huge database. We're going to have hundreds of thousands of users, each with dozens of items that they value, and we're going to have their make, model, serial number associated with them. And that's valuable marketing information for outdoor agencies. How large is this market? Well, I already said there's about 145 million people in the United States who engage in outdoor recreation. That's half of the population of the United States. If you see, they spend about $184 billion a year purchasing goods. Because we're branding ourselves as a general outdoor recreation lost and found, our decals can go on anything. And some of our target markets are going to be fishing, hunting, camping, snow sports, water sports, etc. You can see how large those markets are. What's exciting is that we are the first to do this in the outdoor market. So we have the ability to quickly grab market share and build relationships within those industries as fast as possible. Each one of those target markets of ours has dozens of major brands with hundreds of products that would be great for a lost and found decal. Our serviceable addressable market is 116 million people who purchased a decal or who purchased something in those categories and lost something, who have felt the pain of losing something. And so we believe that our goal in the next 5 years is to get 1% of our total addressable market, or 1.45 million users. Now, how do we get 1.45 million users? We've had a lot of luck with social media recently. Since we've launched, we've got a lot of great feedback, and outdoor brands have actually approached us through social media to begin working with them. We've started working with some local retailers here in Boise, Idaho. And that's great, but it's still a long ways from 1.45 million users. How we're going to get these big numbers is through our partnerships with major manufacturers and through major outdoor retailers. We're hoping that when somebody purchases Sawyer Lost and Found decal, they realize this is a great idea and they need to purchase a 5, a 10, or a 25 pack from us to protect all of their other gear. And then the national retailers are where we're going to be able to reach the mass consumers. Now, the nexus between the manufacturers and national retailers and us are going to be these trade shows. Those are going to be really important for us to go to, get a booth, and have all this marketing information laid out so that we can rub shoulders with these people. We can introduce ourselves. This is where the buyers go, and this is where the product development folks from these manufacturers go to find cool, new, innovative products like ours. So we're going to attend those trade shows. Our 5-year projections are $37 million if we're able to capture this huge untapped market, and if we're able to sell 5 or 10 pack of decals. If you notice that decal sales are actually a smaller portion of our revenue, because we have 3 other sources of revenue, that part is going to be much more significant for us in the next 5 years. Our timeline and traction. So we won the Boise State Idaho Entrepreneurial Challenge competition, and we took that money and rolled it into finalizing and launching the company. And then in less than a month, we were profitable. To date, we've sold almost $24,000 in decals. And tomorrow, moving forward, we have a marketing campaign that's given to us for free from the Explore magazine. We're partnering with them, and they're going to do some print ads, digital ads, social media marketing for us, and connect us with their brands that they're associated with. If we win this competition, we'd like to take that $20,000 and make our product great, make our user experience amazing, make our process as seamless as possible. And then we want to take the money, a good chunk of that money, and attend these expos that are going to be happening in 2021, and then get some of the banners and media flyers and stuff that we need for that. So currently the biggest competition for us is the Sharpie. That's what most people use to have their outdoor gear identified. But if you think about that, that means that there's a huge untapped market, and it's ripe for innovation, which is where we come in. Our closest competitor is probably Return.me. They're a Canadian company that offers lost and found service, but they're focused on keys and phones and wallets and luggage and stuff like that. Whereas we're focused on fishing, skiing, hunting, camping, snow sports, all of that stuff. Now, what separates them from us is that we are branding ourselves as an outdoor company. Everything that we do and every decision we make is in line with the outdoor industry, because that's who we are and that's what we know and that's what we love. And we're also trying to build and nurture these relationships within the outdoor community. When somebody returns something, we have a 5-point return incentive program that we're going to give to them to try to strengthen the bonds within the community. They're going to Return.me just says, hey, I got your keys. Congratulations. The largest name in the outdoor, or not the outdoor, just the lost and found, is Tile Tracker. And theirs is for keys and TV remotes and cell phones and stuff. And you can probably imagine why having a Bluetooth, battery powered, not necessarily waterproof item wouldn't work so great on skis or crab pods or anything that goes in the outdoors and maybe you're not 60 feet away from. My name is Robert Gillingham. I'm the co-founder. I would consider myself head of operations and head of sales, although I am starting a new company, so I do a little bit of everything. And Aaron would consider himself marketing and strategy partnerships with these major brands. He's really great at nurturing those relationships. Aaron and I have been friends for a little over 10 years now, and we recognize our strengths and our deficiencies. And the great part is that we work really well together. His strengths are complementary to my weaknesses, and vice versa. We found that he likes things that I don't like, and vice versa. We do recognize that we do have some deficiencies. We're willing to learn, we're able to learn, and we surrounded ourselves with a team of advisors who we can ask questions to and help us figure these things out. We have a diverse team from CPA to lawyer to serial entrepreneurs who have multiple successful exits. So we are Karmic Outdoors. We're the world's first and best outdoor gear recovery system, and we get lost gear back. I'm excited to answer any questions you guys might have, and I thank you for your time.
Just a couple questions on the decals that you talked about. How much does it cost? How many come in a pack? And what's the actual cost to your company? And is there one size or is there multiple sizes? I know I throw a lot of questions out at you.
A lot of questions. Let me break that down. We have 4 pack sizes. We have a single pack that we're sort of marketing for like our fly fishing. Like for the cost of one fly, you can protect all of your fly fishing gear. We have a 5-pack, 10-pack, and a 25-pack for your gear junkie or the person that has a family. And we have 2 different colors. We have the black and the white, and then we have the orange and the silver. So black and white's going to be for like hunting or photography applications where you don't want flashiness, and the silver and orange is going to be for anybody else that doesn't really mind if it's a little bit flashy and catches people's eye. And then the different sizes are going to retail for different prices. Our single pack is $3.99, wholesale is half that, and then our 25-pack is $49.99, wholesale is half of that, and then the other 2 are kind of in between there.
You know, say you get some interesting adoption here, you get a broad swath of the outdoor community using it. It still feels very niche to me, and you know, like a very small opportunity just selling the tags. But you do then have this community that's engaging with each other, engaging with your website, engaging And you list out and you talked about, some other different revenue opportunities and the value of the data that you have there. But I want to unpack that maybe one layer deeper.
Sure.
And if you could expound where you can, where does the real money come from in the long term with this opportunity?
Sure, absolutely. So like I said, we have the 4 ways of making money. The decals are really the smallest way of making money. We have the recurring revenue that we're going to be asking people to pay between $20 or $30 per year to keep their account active. And each one has different features, such as like complete return anonymity. Like if you lost something and you don't want somebody to know your phone number, your address, anything, we can handle the return process for you. So we have a couple of different packages for that. So the annual fee for that, and then licensing, we think is going to be pretty big. We've had quite a few brands reach out to us. Friday we have a meeting with the largest name in the fly fishing industry, Fish Pond. So we're going to talk to them about including our decals on all their nets and fly boxes. So we're hoping to license stuff, license goods, maybe 50 cents or $1, or I don't know how much we're going to do, but every time somebody buys a product that has our decal on it, one, now they have this one decal that we licensed, and two, why not go buy a 5 or 10 pack and protect your other fly boxes or your other nets and stuff like that? So yeah, I mean, I think that because this is such an untapped market where people value their gear, I see the potential for large revenue gains, specifically in licensing and the annual subscription model. But yeah, the decals probably aren't going to be where we buy a yacht,